Feeling pretty good.
So good.
I love whenever I come back from GarageBand and you're just waiting for me with your hands like that.
That's right.
Yes,
6 months in.
Say it. Do the numbers.
Like the first time. All right. Yep. Sure.
1, 2, 3.
Fantastic. This is a revelation, right? And to be this cheery right out the gate. I don't make anyone uncomfortable, you know. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I don't want to make any of our listeners uncomfortable.
Subverting some expectations here. What's happening?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I had my opening line going over my head there. I thought that's a bit cheery, Mark. Is that a little bit? I wish I'd thought of a different opening line because this is fucking ridiculous. But I feel as though I'm carrying the fucking loneliness of my fucking species on my shoulders with how lonely I feel on Earth.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah. And if that feels like a lot, then I mean it. I mean it.
I mean, it feels on brand for you, so go on.
Yeah, I guess. I suppose it does. I mean, you know, just by looking at my social feeds, you know, from the conversations that we've had, whenever there is the tiniest little morsel of news from NASA, right?
Yeah.
Whenever there's something fucking newsworthy about the night sky, when something lands that has people scratching their heads in any way about the great kind of void out there, I'm on it like a fucking tramp on chips, right? I absolutely love it. Oh, you've not heard that one, have you? Okay.
I haven't, but I figured contextually I was able to figure that one out without asking.
Well done. Cultural exchange. And I think that's my overwhelming first sensation when, you know, you find yourself somewhere where there's no man-made lights at night and you're able to look up and the sky is clear and you can discern galaxies and you can discern, you know, star patterns and whatever. I just feel this fucking awe mixed with just the terror at the loneliness out there. Yeah. And have you heard of the Fermi Paradox?
I've definitely heard of it, vaguely familiar with it, but I haven't invested any time into learning much about it. So tell me more.
What's coming up, right, is some classic Mark Lewis, jack of all grades, fucking non-scientific explanations of concepts, right?
Love those. Sorry, boffins. Here we go.
So I apologize in advance to any boffins who may weep as they're hearing this, right? But this is my interpretation of the Fermi Paradox. So space is fucking colossal, right?
Yeah.
Some back of cigarette packet kind of online stats I read earlier on equate every single star that you can see in our observable, you know, in the night sky, every single star that you can see is equivalent to the same number of galaxies that there are outside of the Milky Way.
Shit, dude.
Yep. So the number of single stars in our observable galaxy, for every one, there is an equivalent number of galaxies outside the Milky Way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here comes the Fermi Paradox. If space is so fucking huge,
right,
and if it's so fucking crowded, which it is, billions upon billions upon billions of stars, and if Earth is, you know, but one of a mathematically probable billions of planets in that lovely little zone where you're that nice and far from a star and you've got water and things like that. Where the fuck is everyone, man? Where's all the other life?
Right.
Where, you know? Because, I mean, again, apologies for mangling the science, but by no means, on a cosmic scale, Earth is by no means a particularly old planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you take that, you know, the billions of Earth-like planets, which mathematically would suggest are out there, and filter those to those, you know, which are of the same size, same comparative kind of atmospheres as Earth, many of those are way older than Earth.
Right.
Suggesting, if you follow that kind of that maths, that if they did have life, it would be life which is far older than ours, far more advanced than ours, would have had far more opportunities to develop than ours, So where the fuck is everyone at?
So in terms of like some form of intelligent life form that could have traveled here,
Yeah.
and where are they? Which I've drunkenly had this conversation with people before, especially in my doctorate, because a couple guys in my doctorate who are like very like which one of the things that I always hate is when people's way of looking at this is it would be like people are always like, oh, like how special do we think we are to be the only thing in the universe? Which I feel like is a very creationist way of looking at it. Like being here is something special. I'm like, no, that's not the case. But I always think to myself, like, okay, so let's say somewhere out there are these advanced beings or whatever, maybe something exactly like us for that matter, maybe somehow somewhere something evolved that is basically humans on another planet. I don't know, whatever it may be. I feel like culture plays into this, and that we take for granted that if there were another species like us, they would want to do the exact same things we do. That they would then want to like, oh, if there's another species, they're going to want to like colonize another place. They're going to want to explore another place. They're going to like, maybe they're just like, this place is chill. We love it here. Let's take care of it. We love it.
Yes, right? completely. And that's, plenty of people have taken the Fermi paradox. Hang on, if there's loads of planets and they're all of a similar kind of heat and size and there's millions of them, why the fuck? That the outcome that you've just talked about there, maybe there are loads of other other alien races, cultures, civilizations. They just can't be fucked, man. Just leave them be.
Right.
But that's just one of loads of theories about why it might be the case.
Well, I'm glad I'm not alone in that, because I feel like every time I've ever said that, people have been like, nah, they'd explore.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah, but you're right. And I'm gonna call back to this very discussion a little bit later on, because this segues beautifully into a topic which I think we're going to pick up on later on.
Okay.
Because you see, one of those explanations for it being so goddamn quiet out there is that we are the only ones, right?
Yeah, sure.
And that it is so super rare for multicellular life to evolve and to leave the fucking soup and to grow culture, as you fucking put it. That we are the only one out there. And this is the masochist in me loves the theory of the great filter, right? Not just because it sounds like a fucking killer Nine Inch Nails album. The great filter is the answer to the Fermi paradox, which states that every civilization that makes it out of kind of proto-life hits a fucking impenetrable filter which hinders their advancement to being a true spacefaring race, right?
Okay.
And the forms that the great filter might take are limited only to your imagination, right? It could be anything. It could be fucking solar radiation. It could be self-destruction. It could be mining their own world's resources to death. Anything. But if that's true, then that theory in itself gives us loads to chew on as well.
Yeah.
Because we could be the only fucking species out there who's managed to pass their great filter, meaning, whoa, shit, we're alone. Our great filter might be to come. It might be
that's a good point.
Ahead of us.
Yeah. Hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, maybe we're rushing towards it.
Yep. Headlong, man, which we've gone into depth on, over the past 6 months. And other theories. I mean, my call this, fucking Marco's theory, if you will, right? But I remain certain, absolutely certain, unshakably convinced of the existence, in fact, the abundance of non-Earth-based life, in the sense that we would call it, sentient, conscious, whatever you want to call it, self-aware life. But that's the great thing. The distances involved in the universe make it completely fucking impossible that we will ever get the slightest whiff of them. And that tickles my irony glands, man. I love it. We're so close to burning ourselves up in fruitless attempts to get off our fucking rock. And all you got to do is just zoom out a few billion miles and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
That I love that. That appeals
right,
to
that
me.
there's just like some sort of like, you know, out there somewhere there's actually like a whole bunch of space people who are interacting like it's Star Trek,
Completely.
and we're just like down here like,
we haven't quite made it, and we
we've
won't.
kind of got Mars. That's what
Give us
we've
another fucking
sort
couple
of
100
managed.
years.
Yeah.
But to wrap this up a little bit, right? Did you, if I were to use the term uma?
Oh yeah, yeah. That weird object
Yes,
that
uma.
came from, what was it supposed to be? Like, was it
It's the
outside of
first
our?
time, exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly this. It's the first time that we've recorded an item, an object, a body from outside of our solar system,
Right. That
traveling through our solar system and out.
Yeah.
And the fact that there is one boffin, right? At least one boffin, a current boffin as well, a boffin who still fucking works at Harvard, a guy by the name of Avi Loeb. He's an astrophysicist who works at Harvard. And as recently as this fucking year, he was saying that he reckons that was non-terrestrial in origin. It doesn't quite conform to the to the criteria to really confidently call it a comet. It's a funny fucking shape. It's sped up weirdly on its way out of our neck of the woods.
I feel like I remember it being like, I mean, you know, the company line was that it was a comet, and that it's like like basically when comets push through, normally we can see a trail or something like that because they're pushing out dust, but that perhaps in the journey of how long it took, or I mean, I'm probably butchering this, but in the journey of how long it took, maybe the dust, there wasn't much left or something like that, and that's why we don't see the trail. I mean, I don't know.
There was a kind of a difficult to classify star a few years back, wasn't there, that was sending out these kind of difficult to read light patterns that had a lot of people scratching their heads. They're going, aliens. But it feels as though this body, Umuama, is
you trying to do the Hawaiian word right now is also very amusing.
Yeah. I'm what I'm trying to do is to say it differently every single time I say it.
Yeah, every single time. Like, that's eventually one of them has to be like,
and maybe at some point. Yeah. I
believe it's Oumuamua, for the record.
Sometimes,
if anyone's like, what's he talking about?
Yeah, feel free. Unless I'm wrong, unless I'm completely fucking wrong, I don't think there's been a conclusive,
like a definitive
nobody is able to go, well, actually it isn't aliens because men. Yeah. So I'll cling on to that.
And it's just kind of an interesting thing regardless, you know, and who knows like how many times objects like this may have passed through that we wouldn't have known about before we had some sort of program to watch for them. But it's certainly, regardless of what it actually is, and the fact that we can't figure it out, like it moved out and it was just like, and that's it, it's gone.
Oh,
we have this brief period of time to be like, shit, try to look at it. And then that was it. And it was like, that's kind of bananas.
It is bananas. It's completely bananas. And as we know from a previous JOAG, NASA's track record for spotting unusual shit coming between us and space, it's not flawless by any means.
It's not flawless at all. So, you know, it's an interesting, I mean, it's a cool thing we don't know if that'll ever happen again in our lifetimes. It's cool that happened. And I don't know, maybe that's something to assuage your loneliness a little bit or something of that nature. Like, I don't know, that something has passed through here.
Yeah.
That is not from our.
Yep. It's not of our kin, you know, completely out of our fucking wheelhouse.
That's such an incredible thing to think about. And, you know, this is when you said at the beginning, carrying, you know, the loneliness of our existence or whatever. I explained in our rapture sode that's kind of the thing that drove me towards being a Christian for all those years, was like feeling like looking into space and being like, too big, and being like, make this make sense then, you know.
I have friends who've talked of the same kind of fear of the infinite almost, when scale and size it just reaches completely fucking unfathomable levels, or, you know, conceptual levels, that can feel horrible, man. It can
I
give you
felt the
this
stress rise in me when you said the thing about like the distance to, or like the number of each star or whatever being like the number of galaxies. Like I could feel the stress start to rise in me as a response to thinking about that level of hugeness, you know? So there's a lot out there that we don't understand. I always, you know, people always get on my case because they always say I don't believe in aliens, right? I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I don't believe aliens built the pyramids.
Yeah.
But I just think that we attribute to whatever might be out there our own cultural values, and specifically like Eurocentric, you know, conquistador type values to
I can't wait. I mean,
you know, whatever is out there.
I've said this before on this very cast. I remain convinced that soon there'll be incontrovertible proof of microbial life. Right?
Space tardigrades. Space tardigrades.
You little fuckers. I know you're out there and I love you, every single one of you. But it's a paradigm reconfiguring event, or at least it should be, right? And I cannot wait for the mental gymnastics that those of faith will go to cling on, you know, to cling on to their own paradigm.
Yeah, I mean, they'll find a way. I've been there of course. For this.
And the way would just be God, because God.
Because his ways are bigger than our understanding.
Because God. Umawama.
You're overthinking it, buddy.
So you're thinking it, mate. What might be an interesting kind of twist to the journey is that if I end up Christian as fuck, right? If in my yearning for meaning, I accidentally convert myself.
I've been waiting for the day. Just feels like it's gonna happen.
That would be.
I'm gonna keep on casually making Bible references about things, and you're gonna be processing them, and then the next thing you know, we're gonna have to end the show because you become a monk or something.